Yeah,
A
yeah,
pragmatic
exactly.
question. If you have two races in one day, let's say you're doing both a 5K and 10K time trial cycling or whatever, pick
Okay.
whatever sport.
Yeah.
And the races are 3 hours apart.
Okay.
Obviously, you can do sodium bicarb before the first race because you would. Would you do it
Yeah.
before the second race, or what would the strategy be when you have two races in one day, or multiple heats in one day?
It's really interesting you said that. Yeah. I was actually talking to someone in Germany that was like a swim coach or like helping out with like the German swimming team during the Olympics, and he was telling me his strategy, and essentially what he was doing was like loading up with bicarb prior to the first race, but then obviously you want to give them enough bicarb so they get to the final, or they get from the semis to the finals.
Right.
And anecdotally, like the report was that like he was giving them bicarb, but not equaling the whole zero point 0.3 dose, but prior
Mhm.
to the semi. And then, hopefully that person gets to the final. And then in between the semi and the final, give them the last bit of top up because it's likely to recover as well. Like your blood bicarbonate is likely to recover to sort of like those in comparison to if you weren't to take bicarb. So there's been some studies that have looked at sort of like the recovery aspect. So I think in one of the other Morton sort of papers, they did the 4 kilometer repeated trials, and then they did a 4 kilometer time trial. They waited 45 minutes, and their blood bicarb almost returned back to where it was pre-exercise. So I don't think there's any evidence to suggest that you need to go over the zero point 0.3. It might just
Mhm.
be about potentially taking at least maybe 2/3 of that dose prior to exercise because we've seen performance increases or performance benefits from zero point 0.2 dose, and
Mhm.
then potentially topping up with the zero point 0.1 in between the semis and the finals. Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. You just have to consider all things regarding potential GI upset, potentially. And then, yeah, you want to make the final as well. So,
Right.
yeah, it's definitely interesting.
So something, okay, so zero point 0.2 grams per kilo first race, maybe zero point 0.1 grams per kilo second
Yeah,
race.
potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Just not exceeding, the zero point 0.3. Not saying that if you do exceed it, it's gonna make it that much worse or anything. It's just that, yeah, like that would be a typical sort of bloating strategy.
If GI distress is not an issue, let's say,
Yeah.
this athlete's like, I can, eat cardboard and I don't have problems. So
Yeah.
would it be wise to do zero point 0.3 grams per kilo? Because you want to do well initially. It would suck if you
Mhm.
lowered the dose, you didn't do quite as well. So if you did zero point 0.3 grams initially, then maybe zero point 0.1 before the second one, or does that
It's interesting. Yeah. I mean, like starting off with point 0.3, and then like doing a point 0.1 potentially after. Um, Obviously you have to also consider the potential sodium increase as well. Like you wouldn't want to be doing that like every single, but if it's like say like the Olympics or say if it's trials and it's like, a big sort of event, you're like, if you're familiar with it, to do point 0.3 and then a plus point 0.1 after. Yeah, I mean, like I would definitely suggest that that could be a viable option. Yeah, because like you said, you have to get there first. And yeah, like you said, if the GI upset isn't an issue and they're taking it in potentially a gastro-resistant form, yeah, I wouldn't say that that would be necessarily a bad thing to do.